Good morning and welcome back to Living on a UK State Pension. My name's Tanya, I'm 68 years old and I'm living on my state pension for the next year as an experiment because I'm actually going to be banking my civil service pension because I've been dipping into my savings rather a lot over the past few months. So this will probably go out, although today is Thursday the 5th of December, this will go out on my Frugal Friday and it's all about food prep again, carrying on from last week, some of the items I've still got left and how I'm going to add to them so that I make the most of what I've got and I don't go out shopping unnecessarily. I did have a quick look in the fridge and the freezer before I went out to see what I could utilise as best as possible and only bought what was necessary. I will write the prices down. I will try to include as many things as possible that I'm using that I've had to buy other than from my store cupboard. Now I do admit I have got a relatively good store cupboard and freezer at the moment because I've built it up over the last year, but nevertheless this will give you a taste of how to throw a healthy meal together without having to spend a lot. Anyway, I'm going to turn the camera around now. Right, this is everything I've dragged out of the fridge, out of cupboards, out of the garage where I store my veg that's left over. And sorry, I've just drank a really hot cup of coffee very fast because I've just got back from exercise and chucked a biscuit down my neck because I'm so hungry at the moment, but I really do need to get on with this because yeah, it's a really dull day out there and I need to crack on with everything. So in the bowl is the swede and the carrot that I had left from last week's shop. I did buy one carrot the other day because one of them had gone particularly soft. So I've said 10p for the extra carrot. I've written it down. When I was in Asda, I picked up a cheap, it's a bit wrinkly, but it'll be fine in various things cooked. And that was 35p for a red pepper. Then just a cheapy tin of garden peas, 28p, Sweetcorn, 57, a bar of chocolate. Not sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but I do have to make something sweet. I need something sweet after a meal, and if I don't, I'll be going on the rampage looking for something. In there is 109 grams of the cheese I had left. I've got no more cheese after that. So I've really got to make it stretch at the moment, but I have got the tiniest bit of Parmesan left that might add a little bit of flavour to the quiche I'm thinking of making. That's the celery left that I've got left. I've already, in the frying pan, as you can see, that celery in there is cut very, very finely on my mandolin. I've put, I suppose about 1/3 of an onion in there, and I shall be sweating that down and I'll be adding this bit of pepper to it. In here is 210 grams of pastry. That's the dry weight. It was now 70 grams of spread, 70 grams of self-raising flour. It's been in the fridge so that, you know, it's done its relaxing bit. These have actually been in my fridge for about 4 days. I cut them ready to have a meal the other night, some of the lasagna that I'd made last week. But because I'd been to a buffet to do with my voluntary group, which is a litter picking group, I really didn't feel like anything to eat. So tonight I have got to use up my lasagna, but I'll probably just have it with a bit of this lettuce that needs using up, maybe a bit of pepper, and I've still got tomatoes here from the garden. I think I will start cooking some of these up into like a salsa soon so that I can make some pizzas, because I've still got the Marks and Spencer's yogurt in the fridge from last week. I've got 4 of the 6 eggs. Little bit disappointed with the eggs because the date was so short on them this time. And yeah, so I'm having to use them quicker than I really wanted to, but hey ho, that's just life. That's the butternut squash that I didn't want to waste, and I put in the freezer. And in here is celery and onions chopped up, but they're bigger chunks. I'm going to make that into some kind of stew, those two together. And to form part of the stew was something I picked up when I went shopping the other day, and I got these few bits. I'm going to try to film this without me having to hold it. Sorry. Right. Hope you can see that. This is how I wrap things when I bring them home. Now, this was a tray of turkey breasts. And because I know I don't want to use them all in one go, I layer them up with cereal paper, cereal plastic. And then I cut the label from the top and I lay that on the top so I can identify what it is inside the plastic bag. It just makes my life a little bit easier to have. Right, 2 turkey steaks defrosting nicely, 2 pieces of ham, and I've put the pepper there to remind me I have got to chop it up ready for the quiche. I've done the prep on the pastry. I put that in the fridge before I left for aqua size. So I'm going to move you over slowly. So I've already done my pie dish, which is an enamel pie dish. And I've done the bottoms of my, what are going to be mince pies. Now, as you can see, I've literally got less than half a jar of mincemeat. So, and this is a really right. Weight Watchers tip: when you're short of mincemeat, grate an apple. Apple is very, very wet indeed. So you've got to squeeze the juice out of it. It just shows you how ripe this apple is. It's almost pulp already. So squeeze the juice out, because otherwise your pastry will go soggy. I mean, you can drink it if you want, but yeah, you've got to squeeze the juice out. I'm going to throw mine away. Put that in there. Get a spoon. Actually, I'm going to get a fork. Good old rubber spatula. That's every bit out of the jars. There we are. That can go in the sink. Give it a good mix. Let's see if we've got enough to make 12 mince pies. I do roll my pastry very thin because of the fat content, etc. But I do love mince pies, so something is better than nothing as far as I'm concerned. Right, I'm going to turn you off. I'm going to fill the pies and then I'm going to top them. Right, as you can see, there's 12 mince pies done. I had enough for the tops, and the bit that I've had left over, I've just put a little bit of jam in and rolled it. So it'll be a sweet treat of some description. Right, the quiche, I'm going to put the base, I'm going to put in the oven for 10 minutes on a lower shelf, because I just want it to start cooking so it doesn't get a soggy bottom. While that's happening here, on the hob next to me, I've got some butter in the pan. I haven't got any, I'm not using my oil today, I'm using the butter that I've got. Some butter in the pan at the back, and yeah, that will be sautéing down nicely. So I'm just going to have to put you back in the stand. Learning how to use the tripod without giving me too much aggro. So in the big pan's going the celery and the onion, sauté down. Might put a little bit of water in it soon, just to make a start on softening it. In the meantime, the turkey steaks are defrosting, and I shall chop them, and the ham is defrosting, and that will be chopped up ready to go. So mince pies are going in the oven, and so is the quiche. You might think that over the back is rather a lot of filling for a quiche, but I've got an idea to split it, and I'm going to make it into a soup. I'll show you a quick soup that I can make out of that. Just sautéing it down at the moment. I want you to be able to see both pans I've got on the go. Just help if you turn the gas on. Take that out and chop it up. It's a bit big. Right, it's looking good. Another few minutes, and yeah, it should start to put it on high so we start to get a little bit of coloration. And to do a little shake of garlic. These tops never go back on properly, which is a pain. Getting a couple of stock cubes out for the turkey stew. Boiled the kettle ready. This is going to seem very bitty, but I tend to make so many things at the same time because I'd rather chop once and eat 5 times than chop every single day. And plus it just means it takes me 5 minutes in the microwave to heat something up. So yeah, it's ideal. That's doing nicely. Normally add a little bit of cumin to a quiche, but I'm going to keep it very simple this time because once I've split this, I'm actually going to probably put a little bit of curry powder in what's left behind. They just need to be softened enough so that when the quiche finishes in the lower oven, everything's cooked through. Right, in the pan at the front I can add butternut squash out of the freezer, the carrots and the swede. And get the kettle. This turkey doesn't take very long to cook at all. I won't be adding that till the sort of last 10 minutes basically. So I'm not going to salt anything because I'm putting 2 stock cubes in, and then I'll only add salt at meals time. They're only store-covered stock cubes, cheapies from, and probably Lidl, Asda or whatever. They're all about the same price, about 70 to 80p for, I believe, is it a packet of 8? Oh, 12 stock cubes. I think these are the Asda ones for about 80p. So I'll put 2 in. Now in there is the celery from last week, the swede from last week, 1.5 carrots from last week and a new carrot from this week. This is just starting to colour up a bit now, so I'm going to take that off the heat. I'm going to turn that off and finish in the remaining heat so that when I get the quiche out, what I'm probably going to do is halve it now. So I'll put what I want in the quiche. There. And this is going to go in a little drop of soup that I'm going to make. So, I'm going to boil some more water because I've used nearly all of it. Bringing that back up to the boil, and then I'll put the lid on it for 20 minutes. I don't use the pressure cooker to do this sort of thing because it by the time you put the lid on it, it stops so much steam evaporating and escaping. It builds up a semi-pressure anyway, so it is quite quick. You can see both pans. Switch the heat on at the back again. half a stock cube chicken. I didn't buy any turkey stock cubes because I don't have turkey that often, obviously, and I used to love it when they sell the legs of turkey nearly all year round in Asda, but now they're very hard to get hold of. So if I do, I shall get one and put it in the freezer. Because a stew made out of a leg or a turkey is full of flavour, absolutely full of flavour. So I have a little bit of flavour from the bottom of the pan where the celery and the pepper are starting to brown. I'll turn that down in a minute. Right, turn the back down. Find as big a lid as I've got. I haven't got one the correct size, but as long as I pull everything underneath the lid, it will steam. So I'll turn that right the way down as far as I can get it. And yeah, I'll give that 10 minutes and then check. Still waiting for the front one to come up to the boil. In the meantime, I'll take you over the other side in a minute. I'm going to put together the eggs. I'm going to use 3 of these eggs. So the other one I'm going to boil for a sandwich. I've only got the tiniest bit of bread left. I can't remember how many slices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slices of bread there. So this is why I'm trying desperately to make everything that I've got go a bit further. So I want to use up as much as possible out of the... Sorry if you can't hear me while I'm doing this. Right, salt and pepper, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic salt to that as well, garlic granules, whatever you want to call them. Gas, and I've got you on the low one. Put the lid on in a second. Right, I'm going to add a little bit of milk to that and pour myself the hot water for my coffee. I can drink black coffee if I run out of milk. I don't mind it at all. So hopefully my stash of milk will get me through. Right, I'll put that egg to one side and put a bit of milk in there as well. So I'm going to check the oven. I'll bring it over. I'm just going to see if the quiche base is starting to brown. Oh yes, probably a bit too much. Right. Oh dear, who put something in it to hold it down, me. Right, so here we have the quiche base. Yeah, it's shrunk a bit, but we'll have to, there's nothing we can do. I'm not mixing any more up. So let's go with what we've got. Not a good example. I should have weighted the bottom down. Hopefully, don't do what I do. All right, spread all of that out. That's the filling. Yeah, I'm not bothered if it goes underneath. Quiche is quiche at the end of the day. I'm just gonna, yeah. Oh dear, never mind. Must remember next time, put some beans in it. I've got dried beans as well. Lovely. Right, and that's going back in the oven. Bit of a disaster, but it's food. Bit of a disaster, but it is food. Right, I'm just spinning the mince pies round to finish cooking. And I'll get them out in a second. Going to open the sweet corn. I'm going to use a bit of it. What I don't use, I'll put in a tub and I'll put it in the freezer. Then I'm not in a hurry to have to use it. So, I've got sweet corn for next week that I can use up, or to have with something at tea time. Maybe I'll leave a bit out to put with my salad tonight. So you can obviously eat sweet corn cold. So that's the bit for the freezer. That's the bit for the soup. Alright, salad. Right, take you back over. Try not to move you so fast you feel sick, sorry. Right, as you can see, the pot is starting to bubble up, so I'm going to put the lid on that. I've added the sweet corn to the back and I've put the lid back on it. So I'm just waiting now for everything to cook. Once the cheese has melted on the top of the quiche in a minute, I'm going to lay the ham over the top so that it goes a little bit crispy. Keep an eye on that, that's locked into place now. Good afternoon, I'm just back from Pilates, but just before I went to Pilates, I did a little bit of editing. And that's when I realised I'd got a chunk of film missing. Unfortunately, I can't go back because what's happened has happened, but rather than, excuse me, leave you in limbo, I'll talk you through the final stages. So I believe on the turkey stew, we got to where I put the lid on and then I was waiting for it to come back up. No, I was going to cook it for 15 minutes, which I did. I then added the chopped turkey. To be honest, it was cooking the minute it hit the water in there. So that doesn't take very long at all. And to finish it off right at the end, I added a tin of Butterbeans, which you can see the Butterbeans at the top there, for extra protein. I love Butterbeans, so, but you could add any bean. It's protein at the end of the day. It could be baked beans, I love the 3 beans that they do in a tin. Very versatile, great for adding protein to soups and stews. If you're cutting back on the amount of meat that you're using in these products. If you've got younger children, I'm sure they won't mind baked beans in a stew or anything like that. So this isn't going to be thickened until it gets served. And those 3 pots probably will serve me possibly 4 times. But if I say 3, it's done 3 meals. Now, I used 2 of the steaks out of a 5 steak turkey pack at £3.70 for the pack because it was reduced. So I'm allowing 65p for 2 steaks each. So it's £1.30. Right, so if we go on to the soup now, the soup was in the frying pan at the back and you didn't see me add rice noodles to it. Only half a nest. I always have these. I often add them to soup because it thickens the soup right up and they get thicker and thicker when they sit in the gravy type, liquid. Plus, at the last minute, when I was taking it off the pan, I added my tin of soup from Marks and Spencer's that I bought last week, just to make it a little bit more chickeny and to get the best out of a 60p can of soup. Now, I had this for tea when I came in from Pilates because I wasn't very hungry. So I had a little bit of that and I'll have my lasagna that I've got left over a little bit later because when I first get in from something like that, I didn't want to go and eat a biscuit straight away because Thursday's my busiest day and I probably shouldn't have done this cooking today because, I'm here and there on a Thursday, out for aquasize, then back out for Pilates on a Thursday. They're the mince pies ready to go in the fridge to see me through the week. There's the quiche. All I did was what I said I was going to do on the film, and that's add the ham to the top so it crisps up a little bit. I've got some sweet corn ready to use in something, possibly a salad. I don't know yet. I'll decide. I've still got cheese left, and I've still got the lettuce and egg and still the pepper to use up. So I'll work out how much this has cost me to make, and I'll leave it in the details down below. But I did tell you I had an awful lot of stuff still from last week, which has brought down the cost of stuff I've had to use this week. So yeah, a good amount of food there. The quiche will do me lunchtime or tea time, maybe with a salad or baked beans, or I don't know, a jacket potato, perhaps a small jacket potato, or a few, I've got some parsnips in the freezer and I blanched them and cut them into chips. So I could get those out the freezer and use them up. But yeah, this will probably do me for best part of the next week for lunches and dinner times, and I am going to film possibly tomorrow or the day after. I will film making flatbreads and salsa to use up some of the tomatoes I've still got from the garden, the pepper and the yogurt from last week that I bought in Marks and Spencer's, and that will break up me having the stew as well. So I've got other things, but this can just be served on with green beans, and I could, because I've got butter. I haven't got suet, but you can make dumplings out of just flour and butter, and then steam them in the top of the stew as you would normally, and they come out great. or you could put them into the air fryer when you've mixed them up and make them into crispy dumplings to put in the top of the stew. All ways of making, you know, to add carbohydrates to a meal without it always being potatoes. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'm sorry that I made the mistake over the last bit of the filming, but I'm learning every day, and yeah, I'm learning to edit a bit better as well. It's a huge learning curve. My job didn't involve anything like this, although I'm computer literate and our systems were complicated that I used when I was at work. Yeah, this is a completely different world, and I'm glad I'm doing it because it's keeping me in check and it's getting my grey matter going. So yeah, have a good evening and thanks for watching. I hope you subscribe and I hope you come back, and please comment.